What is up, Internet Land? How
Okay,
are
then.
we doing this fine evening? We're trying to get our social medias shared. The real Phil cannot share to social media because he is banned
Oh, I'm only
again.
banned from liberal media. I'm on social media all over the place.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did not get into Getter this week. We should be, man. Okay,
Sharing the
well,
YouTubes.
sharing the YouTubes. There you go. You can share the YouTubes onto Getter, and you can share the YouTubes
That's what I
onto
do.
any of the other things. Are you going to pay for Zion? I'm debating.
Pretty hard no right now.
I just want to see it succeed, and then they can have my $12. I would be willing to pay $12 a month for a decentralized node that I get to control for social media that nobody can ever make go away. But we'll see. We'll see. Good evening, sir. How is the great state of Alaska?
Yeah, it's hot up here. Full on breakup. Fall spring.
Full on
Getting
breakup,
a
fall
little bit
spring.
old, actually. Yeah.
So
It's not a good thing.
that means that you are now in full defensive posture. You have a moat around your house that
I
you could
do.
place alligators in. Is that correct?
Um, no, but yeah. Or small children, angry, vicious toddlers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Angry toddlers in wetsuits to keep them from, that kind of
right.
stuff. That's pretty great.
We got
Um,
moose. They're unpredictable
I
and scary.
hello Facebook user. Some of you, I don't know why, some of you may have privacy settings stuff set up to where I cannot know who you are. So sometimes I'll just see this Facebook user. That's okay. We still love you, and hi to you, whoever just said hi to me. So maybe
Join the
throw
rest
another
of us on
throw it
Getter, Gab, and every
throw
other thing that's not
I
Facebook.
need to. I need to. I made a commitment. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to be on Facebook until they throw me out. I'm a missionary to Facebook, man. I'm going to share the gospel. I'm going to tell people about Jesus on a platform full of people who hate me. Because if there's
Pretty much it.
if there's 8 left, I will continue to preach. Dude, we got some stuff to talk about tonight, man. I mean, we talked about listen, if you guys missed last week's show, I would highly recommend. I know it's 2 hours long, and I know that's a big deal. That's a heck of a
Is
time
it that
commitment.
long?
It
Oh
was 2
my.
hours, man. We talked hardcore, and then I started preaching, and then you started preaching, and like we got after it. And it was a big deal, and I'm getting lots of howdies and highs from people that I don't know who you are because Facebook won't tell me. So say your name too if you want to. Dude, last week we asked the question: is it the end of the world as we know it? And currently, the world did not end. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with it. I wouldn't have complained if Jesus came back last week. That would have been okay. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that at any second, but
Oh, heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. That
I
would
mean, I am
be
having a lot of fun still.
sure. I'm like I
Yeah.
enjoy being on the planet. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here and match your size head
Yeah.
sizes here. Let's talk about some of the stuff that has progressed this week. We got lots of stuff, current events. I got some things, man. I got some intel that we're going to get to. And I got to be real careful how I share it in a little while because I don't want to get thrown off of the tube of views and, whatnot, but it's big deal. It's going to be a big deal. Oh, hey, Logan. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for telling me who you are, man. I appreciate you. And you are awesome. So listen, give us some thoughts of your week, Phil. What are you seeing out there in internet land right now?
Hmm. Well, I saw a lot of confirmation that my first suspicions are that we as a world have been duped into
Yeah.
believing Russia is a superpower. Russia is a large, stupid animal. Um, they should be respected like a moose because they're semi unpredictable while being predictable.
And capable of
They
doing
are still
great damage.
powerful and capable of screwing people up, right? I mean, it's not that we
Right.
ignore them and say, "Oh, you're just a cute little kitten." No, 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 they're not.
Right.
But they also are not the technologically advanced superpower that a lot of us assume them to be.
That actually
Um,
really makes me afraid, and I've seen the same thing. Keep going. That actually bothers me. I'm
yeah.
really afraid they're
So
going to try to
I mean, I've
level the
had some
playing
eyes
field.
on shot down aircraft there, and I've had some eyes. There's a couple of is it the Truth Project or the Truth something? Great source. Two combat veterans. One of them
Oh, cool.
comes from a couple of years of experience working in the region of Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
very knowledgeable veterans
Okay.
that have been speaking almost out on the changing situation as it's happening and developing in Ukraine. Been making some
Sure.
predictions, and they've been really pretty close on a lot of them.
Okay.
The other one I watch is Funker 350. That is a
Right.
combat footage channel. They're
Right.
on YouTube, but I don't watch them on YouTube. They have their own app. They have their own website. Like I watch them there.
Yeah.
Um, they are just grabbing sources as they find them, fact checking to the best of their ability, and then throwing it out there.
Right.
And so I've taken a look at some shot down helicopters and some abandoned equipment and things like that. Um, and I've worked around our side stuff, right?
Sure.
Um, they're not close to what we have. They are they're quite far off from what we have. Whatever they sent to, mutual exercises and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't, faking it for the show.
Well,
Um,
they're holding the good stuff in reserve for the big dance.
and
You
some
know,
people
they
have said that, and some
yeah,
people have said it's sitting prepared to go over on their eastern front, which for us would be our west.
right.
Um, the thing is, if there's one thing that we can do as a United States military and our intelligence people use that term, right? Maybe some air quotes even for intelligence,
Sure.
military intelligence. We can see massive troop movements. We can see equipment moving, the heat signatures. I mean, we do have the ability to know where troops are massing.
Sure.
So they didn't move all their technologically advanced stuff way over to Magadan or whatever the name of that town is, right? No,
Sure.
they're not sitting over there. So
No. No, not yet. I don't think so. I think if they were gonna amass troops there, I think that we would be looking at an EMP first. I think that they'll turn all their lights out before they moved those
they don't even have
equipment.
roads that go all the way out. They don't even have year-round roads that go that
Right.
far.
Right.
There's only even one airstrip on that side of their country that's large enough to land that type of equipment. Uh, it
No,
just points back again to what I'm saying. They do not have the ability to wage war on the level that we are quite proficient at doing it. So, am I scared of them? No, but
oh,
because
I
if
think we
we decide to whoop their ass, it would happen very easily. The issue is we're a nation of very weak people, especially those who vote Democrat. They're extremely weak, and they lack the intestinal fortitude required to actually defend ourselves. And then we've got this whole group of people that call themselves Christians that do the whole turn the other cheek thing. Um,
well, that
it's
is a
it's
Jesus
hilarious
thing,
to me
Phil. That
because
is
I'd
a
like to
Jesus
see
thing.
them actually get slapped in the cheek once and
Right.
then see
Yeah.
if they, know how to, because I've been punched in the face several times. I know what happens
As
when I get punched in the face.
have I.
Um, yeah.
And I have,
So
and I have, and I have not. There have been times when I have not retaliated, not defended myself, and then there were times that I was, and
sure.
I felt like those were led by the Holy Spirit. Those were, that I
Yeah,
didn't
some of
just,
them.
I don't always react in violence. I will tell you, and that one of the things
But
that I
here's the
love.
thing, though, Kirk. If you are not capable of reacting with violence, then it doesn't matter what you think you're gonna do or not. If
There you
you
go.
lack the knowledge, skill, and ability to do it, then you're not peaceful, you're just weak.
You are well. That's exactly right. You're a marshmallow at that point. You're not. You don't have, the
If you don't have the
the
ability to do something other than turning the other cheek, then turning the other cheek is not a sign of strength, or you know,
correct.
obedience to God or something like that. It's you're just a
Correct.
weakling.
Well, that's exactly right, and I think that the one thing that I think the purest definition of the word meekness, right? But the Bible talks about
Capable of, but
meekness. It
choose
has
not
a
to. Yeah.
right. It has to do with you have a sword and you know how to use it, and you choose to keep it sheathed. That's the more biblical
Right.
definition of meekness. That doesn't mean that you
Correct.
are you're
A
just a
pushover.
defenseless baby lamb lying in the grass waiting for a lion to eat you, right? Like that's not the point.
Right.
Jesus had some very real reasons to tell people to turn the other cheek. I don't think that it was turn the other cheek indefinitely. I certainly don't think it was allow yourself to
Get trampled on and abused.
to get trampled on or abused. And I certainly don't think he said allow yourself to be taken out of the fight so that your family can be damaged or taken advantage of. So
I
I
yeah, pretty
don't
sure
believe.
men are actually have a
Yeah,
calling of
we,
protection. Yeah.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, I think one of the things I love about this show is we don't always agree. Where this is not just an echo chamber, right?
No.
I think having spoken to some of our active folks and some folks that are like, and I'm not devaluing your service because you know that I love it and respect it. But some folks that are like, in it right now. They absolutely believe in the capability of Russia, and they don't think that we could just kick their ass, as you said. I think that and there's two reasons for that. One is they are still a nuclear superpower, and if we poke, for lack of a better term, poke the bear, right? I mean, I guess that's kind of
Yeah.
irrelevant. If we poke the
Well, we're
bear
poking the
enough
bear
time,
right now.
we're poking the bear right now.
We are.
But if we poke the bear enough times, that insane mentally ill bear could just go flick. And I think we mentioned, or no, you and I talked about it this week. I don't think we talked about it on the show last week. What's been going on state-sponsored television and radio in Russia has been a commercial that states, "What good is a world if Russia's not in it?"
Right.
And so when criminally insane, I mean, like he's a supervillain, like his
No, we agree.
superpower
We
is
agree on that. And
yeah.
they
I
don't have
mean,
to have the same technology as us
no.
to have deadly technology. They
Well,
do
sure.
have deadly
Look at
technology, and they have a lot
Afghanistan,
of it.
right? We outmatched Afghanistan, pound for pound, and they still put up a pretty great fight for the last 20 years, So, and it took a
That's a long topic.
spineless. It took a spineless leader for us to finally lose that war. But it's one of those things that I think we've got to be. I think we've got to be very mindful. I think that they are a wounded elephant. I think that they have lumbering strength that could very easily demolish anything in proximity. And unfortunately, that lumbering elephant also has access to nuclear weapons, which is pretty awful.
Yeah, and their
But
nuclear weapons are not as complex as ours, which I think gets back to the technology. Just because the technology is sufficient enough to be awful doesn't mean it's tactically sound. So
right,
they do not have the ability to be precise, and I think
correct,
that's one of the things we're seeing in Ukraine. They don't have the ability to do things without collateral damage because they're just not that sophisticated.
Do you think that
I
they?
mean,
Do
they
you
could do
think that
more. They're
they?
not even. In some ways, they're not trying, but in other
Well,
ways,
yeah, there you go. I
Ukraine,
was going to say I don't think they
you,
care about
you,
collateral damage.
Ukraine did some of this to themselves, right?
Right.
They have escorted the majority of the non-combatants out of the country,
Sure.
and then they handed a gun and forced by decree every person left to take
Yep.
up arms. So there
Everybody
are no
left has
more
been drafted.
non-combatants.
That's a good point.
Is
That's
the
a good
thing.
point. Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
people keep saying war crimes, war crimes.
Everybody's in the
Maybe it's
army.
going to come out that they are, but we don't have solid evidence of that yet. A war crime
Well, we
is
know that
not the
not everybody
same
got out.
as a travesty and a horrible thing to do and immoral.
We
That's
know
not
that
quite the same.
we know that not even half of their non-combatants got out. There are still a lot of
There's a
non-combatants in
women
the country.
refusing to go, and then technically they've been non-combatant, but right up until the second they pick up a rifle,
Well,
right
there
up
you go. That's
until the
true.
second, and that includes children. Here's the
Sure.
deal, this is one of the moral injuries that our culture struggles with, and other cultures not as much. When a child picks up a rifle and points it towards you, he's now a lawful target.
He's now a
and
lawful
that
target.
wrecks us. It
Yep.
wrecks us,
And
as
it
it should,
should.
because
Yeah, I was gonna
as it
say, and it
should.
should. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
I think that.
yeah, no, I agree and disagree with you. I'm not
Yeah.
calling
Yeah.
out your buddies as wrong. Certainly, like if we're ranking, I'm not saying that they're not still number 2.
Right.
They might still be number 2.
I think China's number 2. I think they're number 3.
Um,
I think China's
well,
number
that's a
2,
tough
tied
call.
or tied for number
I'd
1.
like to see, I mean, how many of you actually use Chinese technology, and how much of that is actually smooth and works correctly? They claim a lot of technology, but China makes a lot of claims.
That's true.
They're wrong
That's
most of
true.
the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, I mean, put up or shut up, and I'm pretty convinced that I'm not saying we have nothing to fear. We will
No.
whip their asses, but there's going to be a cost.
Yeah.
And I think it would be naive of us not to assume that both of those nations intend to bring it here. They're not saying, come fight us in our homeland. They're going to bring the fight to us this time.
No,
And
they
that's the
are.
thing
I
America's
totally agree.
not ready to stomach and doesn't understand.
Well, and I think that
Ukraine understands that right now.
I think that's exactly right. And I think that Ukraine understands that right now. And I think we better get ready, because I think before we see any kind of like boots on the ground fighting, and don't mistake that I believe that that is a possibility. But I think that the first battleground we're going to see is the battleground we've already been fighting and facing Russia on for the last 20 some years, and that's
At least
and
since
that's
'92 with
and
the
that's
Clintons.
cyber. Yeah, with the Clintons is cyber, and we had a really strong warning, either last week or it was last week by a dear friend of mine who's very, very qualified. I hope that people watched last week's episode and they went and changed their passwords. I hope they did made some decisions as far as how they wanted to,
We're still
orchestrate
unplugging from the network at night when we're
Right.
not actively working.
Yep. Unplug your computers.
Powering down.
Powering down. Yep, absolutely. They are fishing and farming. So I'll just get to the point. I mean, if we were really strategic YouTubers, we'd make you listen to 2 hours before we gave you the big intel. So I want to process some of the big intel.
Let's hear your big intel.
Here it is, man. Here it is. All right. So I woke up this morning to a text message. I'm not going to say who it's from. Not even going to say regionally where it came from. But basically, it was this. I have a family member who is in the super spooky 3-letter agency. Okay, I'll just say it that way. If you guys track with me, right?
People get it. Yeah,
got it.
That's enough.
Super spooky one.
I've spoken multiple times that I hate these guys.
So. Right. Yeah. They're
for good reason.
They're 100% trash and pretty much everything wrong with America. And so, but he works for them, and that is his job. And basically, he told his family members, make sure that you get as much cash out of your bank as you can. Make sure that you have plenty of food. And then a little while later, their phone rang, and they were, and it was the spouse of that person, and they were saying, "Hey, you got a text message earlier. You need to take that seriously." It's big deal. I think so. Based on what my buddy said last week, based on what this family that I am intimately, these are not just people that I like met one time. These are people that I have intimate relationship with, right? And inside of the kingdom of God. That's what I'll say about that. But they're heeding that warning. Okay. I think that we need to pay really, really close attention. Again, I'm not saying run on the banks. We said last week, we will actually make things worse if we do that. But you need to be able to access some cash in the days to come. Okay. That is going to be a big, big deal. Be able to have tangible assets that you could trade for things that you need. Okay. There's a solid chance. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you might need and want to trade for that the government took steps this week to make even more difficult. We're going to talk about chickens in just a little while, but right now we're going to talk about chickens in just a little while.
I loved that one.
Yeah, that was great, right? So
that was the first thing my mind went to too. Oh, there's a magical disease. We're going to kill 2 billion chickens.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So Okay.
Thanks,
So,
assholes.
but basically, guys, listen. Just please take this as a real issue, and please get what you need. Self defense tools. If you need to go spend some money tomorrow because you didn't pull money out of the bank and your bank is closed on Saturdays, go. It's time. It's time. I'm not going to say what brand. I'm not going to say what style. You want to contact me privately, I'll get you. You can connect with me on Signal or something like that. But I'm telling you right now, and I'll make some recommendations. That's all I'm committing to, is just making recommendations. Okay, don't come to my house asking for tools. That's not how this is going to work. Okay, but none of you even know where Phil's house is at. So anyway, it's time. It's time to spend some dough. It's time to get some of the things that you need. And I would highly recommend that if you can, get it locally, get it where it's available. I'm noticing that the Freedom Seeds that go with the tools, the nails that go with the hammers, I'm noticing that's quite available right now. It's not as bad as it was a year ago. And I've even seen some pretty decent prices. Like I got 150 nails for like $94. It's not 2019 prices, but it's pretty good. And so that please, if you haven't acquired the tools that you need to keep what you have and defend your family, hey, Jesus told us to go buy a sword. He said that. He said, you're going to need one. You're going to need a sword, so go get one. This day and age, do the math. What am I talking about? Okay. So if you want to contact me privately, I'll make some recommendations. If you want to, well, you can't reach out to Phil right now because he's banned. But if you want to reach out to me, I will happily make some recommendations.
Can on Getter and
yeah,
MeWe and Gab
there you go.
and
That's
all
right.
those other tons of social media sites and Parlor that have been
Except
out there for several
awfully
years.
hard. It's awfully hard for them to find you when they don't know your last name, and we're not going to broadcast that on this show. So you can reach out to me, and I will help you get a hold.
Facebook's the only site that makes you give a last name.
That's right. That's right. So there you go. That's the big intel. That is the big intel. Please pay attention to it. I was like, man, listen, I'm just going to tell you it's close to home for me. And maybe I'm about to get myself in trouble here. I don't know, but it's close to home for me. All right. Bought my dad 10 of the things that hold the nails. Okay. 10 of them for Christmas. That was his Christmas gift. And I've been begging him since Christmas to fill them up. Please go to the store and get what you need. Get the nails. Put the nails in the things that hold the nails. Do that. I will get you a list as soon as I find out who you are. I'll have to look at Facebook to see if that's still Logan or if it's somebody else. So listen, that's my big intel. Let's talk about something. Phil, how do you interpret that? Do you feel like I've made it a big enough deal?
I feel like it's always a good plan. It's been a good plan for a while. We've had some intel that there's a date that's coming up here on Monday or Tuesday that is going to kind of kick off some of this.
Wesley. Cool, Wesley.
I have noticed in the last couple of days, business days, some action towards that intel becoming more realistic.
Have you?
Obviously, you have as well.
Yep.
Let's see. I think everyone in the country can look at what the gas station is doing.
60 cents in a week on diesel.
I think you can look at what the price of gold and silver is doing. I think there's a lot of indicators that tell us these are historically indicators that happen right before other things happen. And so there's plenty of reason to believe this. And there's virtually no reason or consequence for not believing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you happen to pull, because we're not telling you go, hawk stuff at the pawn shop or liquidate whatever to get cash.
Right.
We're not giving you bad advice because cash is cash under your mattress is a horrible way to hedge against inflation.
Absolutely.
What we're saying is that there's already an attack happening right now on our banking and financial systems.
Yes.
And we're seeing large banks, ones that are global, are already freezing accounts because to safeguard.
Yep.
And and closing things out, and I'm watching them stop transactions right now
Yep.
behind the scenes because they're just being attacked too much.
Yep.
So they're doing things to safeguard themselves. Um, we should be smart and do the same thing. So, should you pull your life savings out? I don't. I mean, it's not necessarily going to hurt you.
Nope.
What? How are you out? So the reality is, if you pull $500 out in cash,
Right.
and the teller, the one that gets paid less than a McDonald's employee,
Right.
decides in her back of her or his brain that they think it's questionable, right? You look nervous, or
Sure.
it really doesn't matter. They don't have to even have a reason
No.
at any time. $500, they can report you to the IRS for a strange transaction. So if
Yep.
you're worried about a certain amount triggering something, it's your money, right? Um, pull it out.
There just might be consequences
Pull it
later
out
down the road.
carefully. But here's
Yeah.
what I would rather do. I would rather, put it into my pantry,
Right.
put it into
Go
my fuel
buy things.
cans, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Go
Um,
buy things. That's exactly right.
because when this crash happened in the USSR, you couldn't trade paper currency for anything. When this happened in Venezuela, you couldn't trade currency for anything. When it happened in
Sure.
Mexico, back in the 90s, you couldn't trade cash for anything.
That's right.
So we're not necessarily telling you go get all your cash. That's
No.
not what we're saying. We're saying convert it to useful things. And so the next question becomes, it's logical. For how long? Right?
Sure.
How much? For how long? How much gold should I buy? How much this should I buy?
Right.
The standard answer in Alaska is always 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's really true. Even FEMA will tell you 60 days.
Sure.
90 days is reasonable. If we face a situation in our country where banking is disrupted, or further logistics are disrupted, because that's the next topic we're going to roll into is logistics in our country. Um, the entire world's our world, right? Our little world around us, our bubble,
Yep.
will pop and crash in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well,
So
and I,
have more than that.
I have more than 2 or 3 weeks. That's exactly right. And listen, I got it. Some of you are right in the middle of the trap, right? You are right in the middle, and you're going. Listen, it's easy for you to say, pastors, you guys have what you listen. First of all, I didn't go into ministry to get rich, and Phil doesn't get paid at all for his ministry, so it costs him money, as a matter of
It
fact.
costs me
Yeah,
money.
exactly.
I'm doing something tomorrow. It requires a nearly $2,000 worth of uniform that
Yeah.
I paid for.
Oh man. Uh-oh. So the bottom line of it all is, like, some of you are trapped. Some of you are in the paycheck to paycheck trap. Okay. I got it. And we've been begging you for months, and maybe this is the first broadcast you've watched, and you're like, well, I didn't hear you 6 months ago. And I'm okay. Well, it's time to make
Writing's
some
been on the wall.
changes.
I don't think
It's time to
anyone
make
can
some.
claim that they've not had some sort of an inkling. You didn't just wake up today. I
I don't
mean,
know. Maybe some people have, man. The world has shifted, and I am seeing people just like last week they thought everything was
weird.
fine, and I know it is weird because we're so detached from it, right? We have confirmation bias as far as what we believe, but there are people who are just waking up. Listen, tomorrow's a great day to go buy some groceries. Okay, tonight might be the great day to go buy some groceries. Okay.
Get on your
Tonight,
phone app while you're listening and just
yeah,
start
start
grabbing
shopping.
staples
Yep,
from Walmart, Fred Meyer, Safeway, whatever your local grocer is. Pick it up
absolutely.
first thing in the morning tomorrow.
Tonight's a great night to make sure that your gas tank in your car is full. Like, maybe you can't run down to the hardware store and buy a bunch of gas cans and fill those guys up. That's not a bad plan. Definitely a good idea. But
No.
but
I,
if you
I'll
can
throw one out there.
do it,
Here's one I've been recommending for about a week.
okay.
Get you some IOSAT pills.
Dude, they're not out there. They're gone.
Yeah, I noticed
They're
that they
gone.
were gone pretty quickly.
I
I'm worried about my last shipment.
I ordered some. I paid almost $20 a pack. I bought 6 packs. But
Oh my.
yeah.
It's
But
about three
I mean,
times the order that yeah.
yeah. So but I'll just say, because each pack would be like 2 weeks for one person. Like that. Okay, so that's
A
cool. But
pack is 14 pills,
right,
and other than I think 50 or 60 pounds is the cutoff of a child.
Mhm.
Um, one pill a day per person.
Right.
So
There you go.
one package, they come in 14 packs. It's supposed to be a 2-week supply per person.
And 3 weeks ago, they were $6-8 a pack, right? Maybe
Let me
less.
think. The last order, I bought 10 packs for $85, I think.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So you were talking about $8 a pack, and I paid $17.95 a pack. So
Okay.
and that's if they even come in, because it could have been one of them shady third-party Amazon vendors. And I mean, I tried everywhere. I tried Walmart. I
Hey,
tried all those places.
I've got one floating out in Amazon right now that I ordered 2 weeks ago. It
Let's see
says
whether
shipped, but I have also
let's
ordered
check
like
online.
little boys' peacoat jackets and gotten body wash
There you go. That's true. That's
3
true.
times in a row. So we'll see.
Mr. Bezos doesn't always do a great job, right? So, yep, that's exactly right.
Well, IOSAT, if you can get your hands on it, and if you're trying to make it yourself, it's not just iodine. It's not the same. Potassium iodide is
right.
not the same as iodine. I've seen that floating around actually in a couple of prepper forums. People are like, "Oh, I got iodine," or "Oh, I make my own beer, so I got iodine. I'm good." That is not the
Nope,
same
that's not
thing
the
at all.
same.
Potassium iodide is actually the
Start.
blocker of iodine. So
Right.
when you're consuming things, water and other things that are potentially radiated,
Right.
the
Keeps it
way
off
it
your
gets to you is
thyroid.
through your thyroid, and
Right.
potassium iodide blocks that.
Right.
So
Exactly right. Thank you. Thanks for unpacking that for sure. It says mine's arriving in like 10 days. We'll see.
yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. So the other thing too is if you do have these pills, don't just start popping them.
No. Don't. Those are
You don't
long-term
need to build up
preps.
ahead of time. You don't need to
No.
build it up ahead of time. What will happen is you'll get a word. FEMA will start telling people that you need these and
Yeah.
come get them.
Yeah.
And that's our whole goal, is to not have to disarm and go to FEMA and get them.
That's exactly right. I want to have what I need so that I don't have to go with my hat in my hand to a government agency and say, "Please, may I
Because
have
nothing's
some
free. There's a
more?"
price. Yeah.
There'll be
So
a
when
price to
Anchorage
all of
gets
it.
nuked, I'm gonna have to take, my family and I are gonna have to take these pills for a couple of weeks.
Right. Right.
Till all the
So,
radiation can, get back over to Japan.
yeah, exactly right. So that's a
They've been
great
doing it
one.
to us.
If you can find it, you should absolutely grab some. And
If you can, but
if
it's
you
on the
can,
shelf at Walmart. It is an over-the-counter drug at Walmart. So
if
if
it's
you
on the
live in a
shelf at
place
Walmart.
where, like Portland, where people have their head in the sand and really aren't paying attention or listening to us or anybody,
Right.
you might be able to
Right.
find it on the shelf in somewhere like that.
It's true.
I mean, it
It's true.
happened uh, when COVID first hit. When we first discovered that China was trying to kill us all with the China flu, um, there was runs on stuff, but people in some places where people don't pay attention historically, like Portland, there were still tons of that stuff on the shelf, and you were able to make runs into major liberal
Correct.
cities and grab stuff like that. But the other reason is, um, if anybody's paying attention, Russia has been actively bombing and bombarding and attacking the nuclear power plant in Ukraine.
Man, did you
And
see
so
the
all of
footage
Europe
before
is
they pulled
buying
it?
this.
Did you see the footage before they pulled it of the tracer
I never
fire
caught
going both
one.
direction? Yeah, it was this
Yeah.
morning. It was early this morning, and then it was like gone. They were like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
scary. We don't want to put that out there." Yeah, where Russia
It's 10
is
times the
openly
size as
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. Yeah.
10 times the size of Chernobyl. It's the largest power production plant, nuclear power production plant in Europe.
It
And
was on fire as I was driving into the office.
right, and Russia was bombarding it like, I mean,
All
this is
night.
how you know they're crazy. This is how you know they're being led by a madman. They're not,
Right.
it doesn't mean they're not intelligent. It doesn't mean they're, and everybody who knows me knows that I don't fly a Trump flag. Like I don't do that. There were things that I really liked about the man no, let me say it this way. There are things that the man did that I really liked. I wish somebody had taken his thumbs so that he couldn't, run around and say the things he said. But I will say this: when he calls that guy brilliant or a genius, which he did this week, he's
It's a
not
quote taken out of
praising.
context. Yeah.
He's not praising Putin.
No.
Okay, that's an acknowledgement of a capable enemy. Let me say it that way. That's the acknowledgement. Like someone can
He
be
respects him as an enemy.
there. It is. You can be brilliant and be evil too.
And be,
Okay, like
yeah,
and
absolutely.
so I mean, Genghis Khan was.
Fauci, case in point. Oh, he
There
may
you
not be
go.
brilliant though.
Well, I don't
He
even know
may
how
not be
brilliant.
brilliant. I
I
don't
don't think
know.
I'm gonna give him. I'm not giving him brilliant,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
but
He's been brilliantly fooling America
oh, that's
through at
okay.
least three or four of these situations now. I mean,
He's
he
a
started with
brilliant
AIDS,
he's a brilliant con man. Yes, he was wrong about AIDS. He was wrong about avian flu, swine
SARS, bird
flu, and
flu, you name it. He's
SARS.
been
Yep,
wrong
he's
every
been
time,
wrong
and
about.
he's actively attacked those who were right. That's the
Yeah,
really the part. Everybody can be wrong, especially in science where you're trying to figure stuff out. You can be
yeah.
wrong.
You're supposed to be wrong. That's part of
But
science,
to
right?
attack anybody who disagrees with you
Yes.
and to professionally eliminate them, that's where
There
we
you go.
really have the problem. And
There
that's
you go.
just a key Democrat trait. It's why I have such a problem with the evilness of liberals,
Oh, dude.
because it's not that they can disagree with you, it's that they must destroy anyone who doesn't believe what they believe.
Again, I'm going to clarify the difference between a leftist and a liberal.
You go ahead.
That's just my opinion. That's
I'm
just my
more like,
opinion.
let's let God sort them out.
I think liberals care about people and they're wrong and foolish. I think that leftists are evil and want us to die. I think that leftists they do not want to live in peace with anyone besides themselves in like-minded echo chambers. I think a classical liberal, like what Jordan Peterson would have referred to himself as, 5 years ago, a classical liberal, and now he's
Okay.
not.
A Jimmy
Now
Carter.
a Jimmy Carter, right? He was a fool, but he was a good man. Like he was a terrible president, but at least he cared about people. And you know how we know he cared about people? He spent the rest of his
Still
retirement
does.
building houses, like with for Habitat for Humanity, right? Like I mean, he's like, I'm going to take my wealth and my found fame, and I'm going to go build homeless people houses. Like, dude, that's the thing about leftists. They will cry about a housing crisis and then go, but
Take
don't
all of
build
your money,
but don't
keep half
build
of it. Yeah.
right, but don't build low income housing next to my house.
Right.
Right, that they'll scream and moan and cry about a housing crisis, but then they won't actually lift a finger to help someone. Right, I have a
Yeah, they're far
dear.
more dangerous because they disarm everybody, but they're well armed.
That's right. They're certainly well armed with toxic ideas
Private
too.
private security. Yeah.
So yeah, oh that too, private security for sure. Getting back to the conversation of prepping. Okay, I would highly recommend. We have a great restaurant supply store here in town. It used to be called Cash and Carry. I think they rebranded to U.S. Chef Store or something. Man, you can go in there, buy 50 pounds of rice.
Yeah. Figure out
Buy
where mom and pop restaurants shop.
That's right.
Ask them.
Go, yeah, ask them. And if they do an order in, if you're friends, you should be friends, by the way, with a local mom and pop rescue or rescue
Restaurant.
restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important. Like support your local people. Ask them, hey, when you put in an order, can I order some stuff? And they might say yes. They might say no. They might be like, that's too big of a headache for me. But you can go down to the restaurant supply store. At least in Oregon, you can. Now, I know in other places, like you have to have like a tax ID number to shop at places like that. I understand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when I was a kid in Missouri, I don't know how that goes now, but back in the day, you had to have a business ID to shop at some of the supply centers. Okay, I got it. Go to Costco then. That's fine. You'll pay a little bit more. You'll pay a little bit more at Sam's Club, but if you can get to the restaurant supply place, pick up and white rice. Brown rice will go rancid faster. I know that they have more, it has more nutrients and all those things. Well, those nutrients are part of why it turns quicker. Okay. White rice will keep for a really long time. Lock it in a food grade bucket. A food grade bucket is about $7 at Ace Hardware. And then you're going to pay $4 for the lid. That's just a regular snap down lid. You'll pay $15 down at the feed store and get a gamma lid that you can screw on and off and actually get to your stuff.
I got some gammas on sale. I had to buy bright orange to get them, but I got them for $8.99 Prime on
Ooh,
Amazon.
that's
They're coming
cool.
on Monday.
Oh, very
I
nice.
noticed because I was looking for buckets. I'm having a hard time finding buckets for me. Obviously, Amazon won't ship them for less than several $100s, but Home Depot It may not be food grade, but it'll work, especially if you keep stuff in the original package. So I buy a
Right.
lot of beans that come in 1 pound vacuum sealed package. You can vacuum seal your stuff, Mylar bag your stuff. The bucket is to protect it
Yeah.
more so than to preserve it.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to go. But Home Depot, because I was looking at just doing an online order, they had the lids on sale for like $2, two something.
Oh, nice. That's great. Because there for a while, for about two
Excuse me.
months before Christmas, you couldn't get a lid for a bucket in a Home Depot.
Okay. Yeah. See,
So
and I can't get the
so
bucket right now.
so yeah. Meg knows. She says love gamma lids. Meg wants you to go to Coastal Farm and buy your gamma lids, and they usually have them in stock, and they usually have a
Coastal
pretty
used to
fair
be
price on it.
awesome,
Yeah,
but
Coastal
we
is
don't have
awesome.
any of those where I live. Yeah.
What I would say is if you can't get to a Coastal, right, you can absolutely buy them. Yeah, you can get a 6-pack for $63. They're white. You can get
Color doesn't matter.
color doesn't matter. A 10, you can get 10 for $110, $111 on the in the jungle. Talk to Mr. Bezos. I try not to spend my money there if I can get away with it. I'll pay $2 more a lid at Coastal to not shop on
Sure,
Amazon, but that's just
I
me.
would.
Um, but I can. So like I do have enough financial freedom in my life that I can do that, whereas some of you don't have that option. Another
Yeah.
$6 or $8 means more rice to put in the bucket. I get it. Like I understand. Okay. So rice, fill up as many buckets as you can. Okay. Um, uh, uh,
Whatever
beans,
beans you can
pinto
get.
beans, whatever beans you can get. You can get 40-pound bags of pinto beans at the restaurant supply store.
Yeah.
Now listen,
Like
there's a
pinto.
better way. There's a better way to store those things. If you can bag the rice and beans in Mylar with oxygen absorbers, certainly do it. You got a pulse sealer, you can make it. Certainly do it. That's fine. But if you can't, a food grade bucket is better than nothing. Fill it up. Okay? And that's so much better and so much easier and so flaggy, right? There's less red
With
flags that get flown if you just go to the store and
yeah,
buy stuff.
with the
Okay.
white rice, the issue is killing the weevils, and
Yeah.
so you catch a couple of critters in there that they're not going to kill you. It's
They're
not going to
not
hurt
gonna
you.
kill you. It's just protein.
They
It's
don't
just
need enough
protein.
to make a big difference.
If you can grab some oxygen absorbers off of Amazon, you can throw
Helps
a
a lot.
handful of oxygen absorbers in with your rice. If it's just
But
rice in a
the
sealed
reality
bucket,
is,
and it will
we're talking about
kill.
a short-term thing here. Get
Yeah.
food for
Yeah.
short-term
Right.
emergencies. If
Right.
nothing happens in 3 months, go back and
Eat it.
stabilize it for long-term.
Or stabilize it for long term, or start eating your preps.
Yeah.
We
Well, that's what we
eat.
do all the time.
Yeah, eat your preps, man.
Rotate it.
When times are good and things are peaceful, we should be eating our preps so that we can be rotating stock.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to eat 20-year-old rice if they don't have to. But you should also have some package for long term just in case, because you'd be a whole
Yeah.
lot happier to have something in your belly than nothing, right? I always tell people that if you're going to take the time to store rice and beans, you need to store some salt, some sugar, and some pepper as well, or some kind of seasoning that you want to use,
Well, salt's
because
vital.
salt's vital. You got to have salt to live, right? I mean, you can have a low sodium diet, but you got to have some sodium in your life. Hey, if all you can do, if you are broke as a joke, and all you can do tomorrow is go down to the store and get 5 food grade buckets and go 1 bucket of rice, 1 bucket of beans, 1 bucket of salt, 1 bucket of, miscellaneous items that you're going to snap the lid on just to keep them better, fresh. Maybe it's a couple of jars of seasoned salt and a few things of whatever. Just fill 5 buckets up tomorrow and go, hey, stick them in a closet. And if in 3 months we all take a big sigh of relief and go, whew, man, glad things that got resolved in Ukraine. Man, it's nice to be. Then eat them. Just eat them. Like start making
Yeah.
rice and beans. It's a good thing.
Well, I got to be
You don't
honest.
like rice and beans? I don't know if I can be friends.
I've come up with some good ways to make them.
Heck yeah.
One of the largest reasons why I started um, putting away food in quantity was the hedge against not just logistical shortages or losing my job or things like that, because I've been in those situations, and I've had to eat my preps several times.
Right.
But one of the reasons that we do it now is a hedge against wild swings, right, in pricing.
Right.
And we've been seeing for the last 2 years, certain things have been ridiculous in price, right? So everybody can remember toilet paper being stupid in the first years of the China flu. And I just didn't buy any toilet paper for a year because I had plenty.
Right.
So, but there's some things along those lines that have since not gotten back to normal, and I'm having a hard time replacing them. And so for me, it was meats. When beef went up to where I live, you couldn't even find ground beef for less than $12 a pound, and I'm talking the crappy 70% stuff.
Yeah.
I started eating my meat because, well, my family's going to continue. We're going to weather through this, and we're just going to eat. Um,
Right.
I haven't really had an opportunity to replace a lot of that. And so now I'm starting to get a little nervous because some of the things that I've set aside, I've gotten pretty low on in the last 2 years
Right.
of stupidity. And some of it was, I had it's like what you were talking about with ammunition earlier. Some things are coming back now, and there's
Yeah.
an opportunity to replace it, but I can't stomach paying that price, and so I continue to use what I have stashed away. And so make sure
Right.
that's where there's getting to be, stress. So even within the prepper community, there's people that do it like I do, and there's some things we're getting low on and getting a little stressed about, getting a little pissed off about. And when a bird scare for chickens gets manufactured and made up to artificially inflate the last reasonable costing meat, I'm starting to get upset about those things.
I
Um,
paid $104 for a block, a 40-pound block of so what we pressure can when we pressure can chicken, I get the boneless, skinless chicken thighs.
yeah,
And then we pack our jars and we pressure can that chicken. We season it first, and then we put it in and pressure can it. $104 for a 40-pound box, and last year I was paying 37 at the restaurant supply, and it's in a block. It's not like going to Costco and you get individually frozen pieces that are in a bag and it's easy to use. You have to
right.
thaw the whole block, or you have to put it on a bandsaw and cut it into pieces and thaw those
Right,
pieces.
which for shredded chicken would be okay, but you're gonna get bone clumps and yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
no, I just don't even have that. I'd have to do the not Swanson, but we've got a restaurant supply delivery truck that come down from Anchorage and deliver food to everyone around here, right? I'd have to get in on
Right.
something like that. And if you were like me, there's an opportunity to do that. You just have to make friends with the restaurant. Um,
Sure, sure.
Float a little profit in there for them, right? You say, look, here's what I'm looking for. Can you get this for me?
Right.
I will give you, 20% over your cost if you'll add it to your next order. A lot of restaurants will do that.
Yep.
It's easy for them. It's not illegal for them. There's nothing illegal about it. It's just buying in quantity. I had a conversation with a local liquor store earlier this week, um, because one of the things that I've been wanting to put away for a long time is the bottles, right? So there's like the airline size liquor bottles, and then
Right.
there's the next size up, and I'm not a big liquor drinker, so I don't know what the proper terms are.
Right.
And then there's the normal size bottles everybody gets, and then of course there's the bar size that are enormous.
Sure.
Um, you want to buy the ones that are just above the size of airlines, so smaller than the little single things, but they're more the next
Sure.
size.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you see homeless people in Anchorage drinking. So they must
Right.
be the most economical. I'm working on getting case prices.
Sure.
What can I buy 100 bottles for? You
Right.
know, because um, they're going to be worth a lot of money. They're going to, and
Trading
not that I'm
card.
going to take them and sell them. I
Right.
will. I want to trade them.
I want to trade them. Yeah, exactly
To
right.
trade them because I
So
might be
hey,
able to pay a guy to sit at my front gate for 12 hours. If when at the end of the 12 hours he's still awake and nothing happened, I hand him a bottle.
there you go. That's exactly right. It's a good way to get labor. So one of the ways that you might want to be thinking about how you can spend money is it might be money that you're not thinking about right now. Okay. A lot of us have HSA accounts. We have health savings accounts that are attached to our jobs. And you have to be really careful how you spend that money, right? Because it has to be spent on healthcare stuff.
First aid, first supplies,
First
medicines.
aid, there you go. First aid supplies. Okay, so you can go to Medical Gear Outfitters. You can go to Refuge Medical. I know both of those companies take HSA dollars. They are official medical
Okay.
companies, and you can buy full blown great trauma kits. Okay. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't even know how to use a good trauma kit. Well, that's all right. You got some time right now while the internet still works. You can start watching YouTube videos on TPPP, or you can start watching YouTube
Well,
videos on how to pack a wound or
but
how
here's
to
the
put on
deal.
a tourniquet.
Something happens. Whose gear do you use? Right? If you respond to a situation, whose gear are
Oh,
you using on
use
that guy?
their
You're
gear,
using their gear.
their
It is a
gear.
lot easier to go grab somebody that knows what they're doing and bring them back to a fully stocked situation.
That's right.
It, just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean
But
don't grab
you
it.
need gear for you and your family. Okay. So if you want
Right.
to get 3 blowout kits, you're talking about $100 minimum.
Yeah.
A blowout kit on Medical Outfitters is like $100.
I
Um,
buy my Blue Force gear, little tiny kits, and it's just under $200 for the pro kit that gets you
there
the
you
good
go.
stuff.
There you go.
And it's like 4
And
things in there. That's
right.
it.
This is a little bit more of an extensive kit. Like there's a little bit more in it. Refuge Medical, you're going to spend $150 to $200.
I got a lot of stuff from My Medic.
My Medic is not a bad deal. They use a lot of here's what I like. Okay, here's what I like and dislike
But you have
about
to buy
Refuge
pro
Medical.
stuff. You don't buy their cheap stuff that they throw out there for the easy,
Right.
the Amazon
Right.
kits or whatever.
Here's
You
what
buy
I
the
like
pro gear.
about Refuge. Okay, so Refuge is owned by a guy who's got a channel called Bear Independent. All right, he's weird.
Oh, is that him?
He's weird. All right,
He's a
he's a
little weird.
messianic. He's a messianic Jew, so he believes in Jesus. He's a Jesus follower, a very passionate one. He's got a pretty intense prepper channel. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I will say this: Refuge Medical is all of their kit holders, all of their bags and stuff that is all 100% American made, 100%
Yeah.
American made, certified American made.
Stuff in
They
it.
buy their textiles were made in America, so that's why you're going to be spending $150, $200, $250 on their stuff. And it's also like bulletproof awesome. They run those kits with special forces. They run those kits with
They train with them. Yeah.
lot of folks train with them. They have testing guys that are overseas right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of his episodes, he gives a recap of how many lives are saved by his kits. I think they're brilliant. I think they're really set up very, very well. If we have any HSA dollars left at the end of the school year that we have to spend before we lose them, I'm going to absolutely spend it on medical equipment. We don't always have a lot left over. I had a surgery last year and blah, blah, blah.
So what would we consider basics of stuff you should get? I know I can think of like 3 or 4 things.
Well, the first thing,
besides the basic kit.
I'd make sure you have at least one, but really 2 tourniquets per family member. I would say that you want some, you want a pair of chest seals. You want at least one Israeli bandage.
That's blowout stuff. That's massive trauma kits.
These are trauma kits. Okay. You want to do boo-boo kits. Refuge has really, really extensive boo-boo kits that come in like Pelican boxes too. If you're talking about, I'm talking about blowout kits, right? So
well, beyond that, if
so
you're
you're
looking
gonna
for
want
things to
some
spend dollars on,
Quick Clot and or Quick Clot gauze. I like the gauze rather than the powder.
you put it on though, you're going to a surgeon.
You're going to a surgeon. That's exactly right.
So that's the thing. Are you going to a surgeon?
Well, here's the thing. The Quick Clot gauze is actually better than it used to be. It's not the Celox. It's not the burn you stuff anymore.
Right.
You're less critically in need of a surgeon, but you still better have some definitive care.
It has to get cut out.
Yeah.
It has to get cut off.
So then let's see. You got
I like
personally
Z-Packs of gauze.
Z-Packed gauze.
Lots of that. I like
Personally, I'd like to
iodine.
see one nasal pharyngeal airway, or an NPA.
Sure.
Is an airway that anybody can place. Okay, when you watch
They teach it to the Army.
ER or Grey's Anatomy, they're putting in airways that you have to almost be a surgeon to put in. You've got to really have your
If you ever want to sing again.
yeah, if you ever want to sing again, you better. But a nasal, an NPA, or a nasal pharyngeal airway is a floppy. I wish I had my kit right here. It's in the other building. If I was set up with my green screen, we'd have it. But
Yeah.
it's a floppy green tube with a trumpet on the end, and you can lubricate it with anything. Your spit,
Yep.
their spit,
Their
your
spit,
blood,
their
their
blood.
blood, whatever. Not your blood, but their blood, and then it can go whoop right up the nose and down just to the top of their gag reflex. And here's the beautiful thing: if they gag, all you have to do is pull it out, clip an inch off at a diagonal, and then put it back.
Yep.
And so that means you can use it for a child, whatever. There are other airways that anybody can use as well, but the patient has to be unconscious to put it
Has
in,
to be
because
unconscious.
it will hit their gag reflex, and it's a big plastic chokey thing. If it drops in the back
Yeah.
of their throat. The nice thing about a nasal is it guarantees a clear airway, and it gives you the ability to have some reassurances of things, and it's just a good thing. And it literally is a 3-minute video on YouTube.
Anybody can do it, and they're cheap,
Anybody can
affordable.
do it. I've done it to myself.
Yep.
It's it's not pleasant. Like, I'm not like, I don't do it on a Saturday afternoon because it's like relaxing and fun. I mean, it's like, hey, let's crack a beer, put in an NPA, right? I mean, that's
Well,
not how we roll.
so that's a lot of
Um,
trauma stuff. I recommend you get your burn dressings
burn
now.
dressings, yeah,
Because the things that happen around the house, here's the deal: in tough times,
campfire.
or like last year, when you don't want to go to the hospital, you need to be
There you go.
better equipped to do things at home, right? So the kid burns himself on the stove, the kid cuts himself, the wife kicks a piece of sheet metal and needs 28 stitches. So that one I might
Yep.
still go. I don't know. There are situations that you can handle a lot of things at home, or at least get going on it, right? Wait and see if it gets
Thanks, Mo. You
worse.
rock.
There's just so many things. If you can solve small problems, you prevent them from becoming big
Big
problems.
problems.
And
That's
and
exactly right.
and that's where I would say, put your emphasis. Less of us are getting holes inside of us and huge traumas, but all of us need to be able to clean out a wound, irrigate it,
Yeah.
clean it, close it, and watch it for infection, right?
You
And
can
so,
go, and you can go down to you can go down to Coastal Farm again. Meg wants you to go down. Not a sponsor, but you can go down there and you can pick up some big fat syringes for to be able to irrigate a
irrigating.
wound. Like, you're gonna get a cut while you're trying to baton
Some
some
iodine, make a
firewood. You know what I
betadine
mean?
solution.
Get some
Get
iodine.
wound wash. Get some lidocaine laced wound wash.
Oh,
Um,
the big one that, again, you can get at the feed store. It's expensive, and I'm not going to pretend like it's not expensive. It is, oh gosh, it just jumped out of my brain. It's a
okay.
wound treatment. Meg, help me out. It's a wound treatment. Spray it on the animals, and
You make it.
Vetricin.
Is it
Vetricin. Oh, it's
vegetable? There
the
you go.
best. It's so good. And I'll tell
Yeah,
you,
comes
like,
concentrated, right? And you
it,
put it into spray bottle and dilute it
I
with
like
saline.
the gel. No. They not that. That maybe you can get a
Okay.
big bottle of concentrated one, but I like the gel because it sticks where it doesn't just run off, because it's not really meant
Okay.
to be an irrigating deal.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking something
It's
different.
meant to, you spray down a wound with it, and then that's when you package the wound, right? That's when you put your
Okay.
dressing on. And then each day when you change the dressing, you're going to spray it down with that. It really just kills the bad bacteria, locks in the good stuff. It's very mild, very gentle, very hypoallergenic.
A lot of
And I'll
people's
tell you,
go-to is alcohol. That's a really bad idea. It
it's
kills the new
really
cells,
bad.
kills
It
the new
kills
growth.
tissue. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And iodine can be too if you mix it too strongly, right?
True. Yeah.
Um,
I love
so
peroxide. I'm a big I buy gallons of it, gallons and gallons of peroxide, because peroxide has tons of uses, as you know, cleaning, sanitizing, um, purifying water. There's lots of things you can do with peroxide. So I love hydrogen peroxide.
Oh, right on. Hey,
I mean, if
breaking
I
news,
pull a
Oregon.
hangnail, I scrub some hydrogen peroxide in there, and I don't get infected.
Breaking news. Breaking news,
Share it.
Oregon.
Oregon,
And
no.
let me just say this. Like, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna be happy, but at the same time, like, don't think that this is the end. This is not the end. No mask mandate in schools in Oregon as of the 14th. Breaking news. They are and it's even more breaking if you live where I live, which you'd have to know where that is to care. But if you know where I live, you know that our people were fighting to keep the mask mandate, even though the state was dropping it for the rest of the year and maybe even next year, because these people are fear mongers.
Yeah.
But that is good news. That is breaking news. It was going to be the 19th. I guess now it's the 14th, and happy for those kiddos. If you still have your kids in communist indoctrination camps, I'm sorry. You should probably
Why?
not. You should probably not.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean,
why?
you've got one that's about to finish. Like, she might as well finish, right? You know.
I have
but,
one who's 2 months away from her 18th birthday who chose to want to go. And she only has 2 classes, teacher's aide and band.
and band. Teachers aid and band. All right. Well, cool, man. Whatever. So back to medical. I think you absolutely need boo-boo kits, but I definitely stress if you're going to spend HSA dollars, if you're going to spend big dollars, I would
Well,
say
don't buy crap. Yeah, don't buy the
crap.
Walmart 100 Band-Aids from China.
And don't buy it from Amazon either.
I
We have
agree.
seen the tourniquets. You can find soft tea and you can find or SWAT tea.
I bought some name brand ones off of there, but there's a lot of ripoffs.
But there's a lot of cat tea tourniquets that are not. They're fake. They're Chinese. And
Yeah.
when you go to crank them down, and tell me
break.
that's not a plan. Tell me that's not a plan. That there's put my here's my
Right.
tinfoil. Here's my tinfoil hat. I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on. Flooding the market with fake tourniquets. Anyway, so you want to get this stuff from a reputable company, okay? You want to buy a tourniquet, a chest seal. You don't want some weirdo Chinesium that they were able to replicate the packaging. Yes, can you make a chest seal out of a credit card and some duct tape? 100% you
Almost
can.
anything.
Do you
Almost
want to? No,
No.
you don't. And by the way, if you're carrying a medical kit that has a chest seal in it that you plan on using, you might want to throw a razor in your chest kit in your kit. By the way, I'm just telling you that as a person who has applied a hyphen chest seal to a person, it's really.
Did you have to
difficult
open the
do that
hole
to
more?
I didn't have to open the hole. I had to shave the chest. I had to put.
I
It
wasn't there. I didn't know what you're.
No, it took me three.
I was like, you had to make a bigger hole.
No, it took me 3 chest seals because I had to wax the dude's chest 3 times to get it to seal. Hairy
That's
mongrel.
just funny right there.
And if it were me, I mean, I qualify for hairy mongrel.
Hey,
That's
mine's all
me,
turning
dude. Like,
gray.
I'm like, so no, man, we had to wax that cat. So you know.